طيب ننتقل للسبيكر اللي جاي. النقل البري في الشرق الأوسط زمان كان يواجه تحديات صعبة، خصوصا في السعودية. يعني حتى إلى فترة بسيطة إذا أنت راكب سيارة أجرة ممكن يقول لك والله هذا يمكن مو لاقي يشتري سيارة ولا ورطان. يعني نظرة المجتمع والثقافة غريبة عندنا لسيارات الأجرة، تحولت وتغيرت السنوات الماضية والحمد لله بسبب ترقية المنظور لشركات سيارات الأجرة. يعني اليوم لما أطلب كريم عن طريق جوالي أنا رهيب وأنا عليه، وأنا أقدر أطلب سيارة فخمة وأكلم السواق واقول له بالضبط فين يجيني، يعني يمكن احسن من السواق حق العيله. اوكي، فيعني مين صمم ومين فكر ومين استثمر في شيء زي كذا؟ مين انشا هذا كله؟ هذه كلها الاسئله حيجاوب عليها المؤسس والمدير العام لشركه كريم، وهي الشركه الرائده في الشرق الاوسط اللي تقدم خدمه سيارات الاجره مع سائق. رحبوا معايا باللي نفسي دائما وخايف احرجه، يعني نفسي اسال وخايف احرجه، جيت بسيارتك ولا جيت بكريم؟ ندي تحيه كبيره للاستاذ مدثر شيخه، تحيه كبيره، يا رب يجاوب. I asked you a question before I leave, okay?
Okay,
did you come with Careem or did you come with your car?
Show of hands, maybe. Okay, thank you very much, Yasser. And I'd like to begin by thanking Abdul Latif Jameel and MIT Enterprise Forum for hosting us this evening and giving me the opportunity to present the Careem story. As some of you know, Alhamdulillah, Careem has grown massively in the last 3 years. A lot of that has been a direct result of your love and support. And what I'd like to cover in this 15-20 minutes is show you some of the growth stats, and then more importantly, go through some of the key lessons from this growth. So if you look at Careem, we started Careem on the 1st of Ramadan 3 years ago, hence the name Careem. And every year we get 1 month of free marketing from throughout the region. And since starting 3 years ago, we have expanded to 24 cities in the region, in about 10 countries, all the way from Morocco on the west to Pakistan on the east. Saudi and UAE are our biggest markets, and the fastest growing market is actually Egypt. We have impacted the lives of 20,000 captains. It's our name for drivers. We like to call them captains to show them respect. And we have impacted the lives of 1 million plus people in the region up until now. The company has managed to grow 30% on a month-to-month basis. And 30% basically means that every 3 months, we double. So what we've achieved in the last 3 years, we'll achieve the same thing in the next 3 months. That's really been the pace of growth, alhamdulillah. And the growth has happened as a direct result of everyone's hard work. We have 300 colleagues at Careem spread throughout the region. And we have been blessed with some investors that have given us some money to scale the business. So we've raised about $70 million from mostly regional investors. So that's really been the growth that has happened. Now let's look at what has led to this growth. So there are 5 lessons that I've distilled from retroactively looking at the growth. The first lesson for us is solve local problems. And if you're an entrepreneur, a problem is a great thing. A problem is an opportunity, and the bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity. And when we started the business, our initial focus was solving the problem of business travelers. Some of us were consultants, and we found it very, very challenging to commute in the region. So the way that we solved the problem was we basically made a web booking interface. There was no app, there was no on-demand service. It was a website. There was a call center where corporates could actually call and make a booking. And that's really what we were going after. That's the problem that we were solving. When we realized that a lot of our customers were finding issues finding their cars, and the cars were getting lost. When we dug deeper, we realized that the mapping infrastructure, when it comes to things like Google Maps, is not accurate nor reliable for the region. So we started building our own maps. When we realized that many of our captains were not able to communicate very easily with the customers, we set up a call center that would bridge the customers and the captains. So every time there was a failure, there was an opportunity for us to learn and improve the service. And that's really what has led Careem to where it has come, that despite global competition coming into the region, we were able to stand our ground and compete successfully because we had built a product that was solving local problems. So lesson number 1 for us is solve local problems. You can definitely look at what's happening in the rest of the world and be inspired by what's happening in the rest of the world and get some ideas. But if you lose focus from solving local problems to start copying others, then you're not going to be able to compete successfully in this market. So the focus should always been, and for us has always been, find local problems and solve local problems. So that was number one. Lesson number two is be quick and flexible. And if you want to grow rapidly, then you of course have to be quick. Now, in the context of Careem, let me share with you a couple of examples what it meant in the context of Careem. When we first launched the business, we read a book called Lean Startup. How many of you have read the book Lean Startup? Quite a few. And in Lean Startups, there's a methodology, there's a term called minimal viable product, which basically says release something that adds the least amount of value, that's some amount of value to the customer. So when we started, we said, look, we need to launch a minimal viable product. We need to be at the market. We need to be out in the market as soon as possible. And we gave ourselves 6 weeks. So in 6 weeks from day one, we need to launch the service and be out there and doing trips. And some of you who have built technology, you will realize that not much gets done in 6 weeks. So we were late. And 6 weeks later, we realized that we were actually not ready to go live. The things that we said we will do, we were not ready with those things. But we stuck to our guts, and we said, come what may, we'll launch today. Because we said we'll launch today. If these features are not done, no problem. We'll launch without them. And guess what? It's been 3 years since that first launch. We still haven't implemented some of the features that were there in the first list. Because it turns out that the market was not asking for them. The market was asking for 10,000 other things that we have been developing since then, but the things that we thought that the market was asking for was actually not right. So our learning from that was be out in the market as quickly as possible and start learning from the market what you should be building. So be quick and be flexible. The second example, and this is a bit more recent, where product development is still happening, but a lot more focus in Careem is on the growth now. If you want to grow 30, 40% every month, that growth doesn't happen on its own. It requires a lot of pushing and prodding for that growth to happen. So we actually monitor our growth every 15 minutes. So every 15 minutes, everyone at Careem gets an alert telling them how much Careem has grown from the same time last week. So it reports a weekly growth number. And if you want to grow 30% every month, it basically means that you have to grow 6 to 7% every week. And if we notice that this growth is less than 6 to 7%, and if you need to grow 30%, this means that something is wrong. So we quickly intervene, we find out where the problem is. Is it a demand issue? Is it a supply issue? Where is the issue? Let's send some more cars there. This demand issue, let's try to get some activity going there so that we create demand. And we intervene very, very quickly to make sure that we keep on growing. So be very quick and be very flexible and be focused on growth. And if you're a startup, especially a technology startup, growth is the engine that fuels a startup, right? If you're not going to grow, you're not going to be able to survive. So lesson number 2, be quick and be flexible and make sure that you retain the focus on growth. It doesn't have to be 15 minutes for you, but it has to be relatively short. It cannot be you look every quarter and see, oops, I didn't grow. So that's lesson number 2. Lesson number 3, and again, this is obvious, but let me emphasize what it means for us. Hire awesome people, whatever it takes. Hire awesome people, whatever it takes. Now, it's actually a bit more challenging in the region than it is elsewhere. And the best talent in the region wants to work at multinationals. They want to work at government. They want to work at big brands locally. They don't want to work at startups. So it's actually quite a challenge getting the top talent to work at startups. And the sad part is that the top talent can make more impact at a startup than anywhere else. And they call it the power law, which basically means that a top hire gives you 20 times more productivity than an average hire. Not 20%, 20 times more productivity than an average hire. This is for startups because there is very little institution capability. So you absolutely need to get awesome people on board, and it's actually not that easy. So we did 3 things that helped us get some access to talent. The first was we started giving equity to everyone in Careem. So everyone at Careem, from the person that picks up the phone when you place a booking, to the person that is heading a city or the person that is heading a function, has equity in the business and they're owners in the business. So they're actually going to be becoming rich and wealthy and doing well as Careem does well. So that was one thing that we did. The second thing that we did was when we found companies that had awesome people that were doing something that was similar to us, we tried acquiring them. Not necessarily for what they had built, but because of the talent that would come into Careem as a result. So we actually got our third co-founder, Dr. Abdullah Ilyas, as a result of an acquisition. So we acquired Anwani in Jeddah, and that's how Dr. Abdullah Ilyas came on board. So we've done a couple of acquisitions. We did one in Morocco, and that's how we got the Morocco team on board. So we did acqui-hires when we found awesome talent. And we didn't have any money to acquire these companies, right? So we used equity to buy them. And that's actually been a good, been good for the people that ended up getting acquired, because equity has actually gained a lot of value. So that was the second thing that we did. First, we gave options. Second, we acqui-hired. And the third, you don't give up. To acquire Anwani, it took us almost a year of convincing to get him on board. So when you find people that are awesome, that could be a great fit for what you're trying to do, you don't give up. If they reject you, then go back in. If they reject you, go back in. You just keep going back in and make sure that you get those awesome people on board, because those awesome people will get you 20x more impact than someone that is not so awesome. So it's absolutely critical for you to get amazing people on board. Good people are the best value in town, best value in the world. So that's lesson number 3. Get awesome people on board, whatever it takes. Sorry. Lesson number 4 is get local allies as investors and advisors. And this is something that we did from the very, very beginning. We realized that regulatory will be a challenge for a business like Careem. We realized that Saudi is a big market for us. So we aligned ourselves with people that would help us on the regulatory side and that would help us in Saudi. So the first round investor was Saudi Telecom. That was not an accident. We got advisors on board who would help us on the regulatory side. So we made sure that we got the right investors and advisors on board that would help us make this thing successful. And when you get investors on board, please make sure that you don't treat them like investors. And you treat them like an extension of your team. These are some of the best team members that you will have. They are resourceful, they're well connected, they have deep insights. Please make sure that you get into a good rhythm with them and actually leverage them for what they can offer. And they love to help. If they don't hear from you, that's a problem, right? If they hear from you more often, they actually appreciate it because they actually feel that you're leveraging all the value that they can offer. So please make sure that you get the local allies on board. Every time we had a choice, by the way, between getting international investors and regional investors, we always went with regional investors. And what can an investor sitting in San Francisco do for Careem in Riyadh? Very little, right? But someone sitting in Riyadh can actually make a big impact in what Careem does in this market. So get local allies on board and make sure that you build the right relationship with them. And lastly, you discover your purpose. And entrepreneurship, some of us who have been through the journey, regardless of what the media tells you, it can be a tough journey. There are many times that you want to give up. So if you don't have a clear purpose why you're doing this, it's going to get tough. It's going to be difficult to keep going. So discover your purpose. I'm sure you have a purpose. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're doing something, there's something inside of you that's telling you you should do this. Make sure you discover that purpose and articulate it, and make sure that it drives you and the team around you. So at Careem, our purpose is to simplify the lives of people in this region. We want to simplify the lives of people in this region, and we want to do that by being Careem, by being generous. And we want to be Careem on 3 dimensions. We want to be Careem to our customers, we want to be Careem to our captains, the drivers, and we want to be Careem to our colleagues. Careem to our customers basically means deliver outstanding customer service. So we aspire to deliver the best and the very best customer service in the region. Sometimes even before customers complain, we reach out to them and compensate them. So that's Careem on the customer side. On the captain side, the Careem dimension is basically looking after them and showing them respect. So in some markets, we've even gone out and gotten health insurance for captains. We have gone out and offered internships to their family members where we could help. So we actually genuinely want to look after them and make sure that we are Careem to them. And by the way, it's good for business as well. A good captain and a happy captain leads to happy customer. If the captain is not happy, he's not going to lead to a happy customer. So we want to be Careem to the captains. And lastly, you want to be Careem to your colleagues. These are the people that make up the Careem family. So Careem here basically means looking after their professional development and looking after their well-being. So giving options to colleagues is one step in the direction. Looking after their professional development by surrounding them with other smart people that they will learn from is another way to look after them. So discover your purpose and make sure that it is there driving you on a day-to-day basis. When things get tough, this is what will get you through. So the 5 lessons from us and from our growth have been: solve local problems, get inspired by others, fine, but make sure the focus is on solving local problems. Second, be quick and flexible, especially when it comes to growth. Growth is the engine that drives startups, and make sure you don't lose focus on growth. The third, hire awesome people, whatever it takes. Fourth, get the right local allies on board and build the right relationship with them. And fifth, discover your purpose. Now, those are the 5 things that I had, but there's one other thing that I would like to just share, and this is just based on observations of being part of some panels earlier today. Every time I've come to events like this, and I've honestly been blown away by the creativity and entrepreneurship in this country. And if you have seen some amazing ideas this morning, people have been super passionate about these ideas, and really, and it's very inspiring to see this level of energy and creativity in the society. But one thing that I've also noticed is some of our best entrepreneurs are fragmented. And some of the best entrepreneurs, instead of focusing on one thing and making that thing really, really big, they're doing 10 different things. And that leads to fragmentation. That leads to we not getting one big thing or a few big things, but getting a lot of small things. At this point, our region needs a few big successes. Inshallah, Careem will be one of them, but we need a few more of these as well. Let's make those Googles and the Facebooks from this region. And if you want to make those things, our Bill Gates and Steve Jobs of the world will have to focus on one big idea and make sure that the one big idea happens. There's a lot of creativity and energy and talent in this room, but it gets fragmented across 10 different things. So I would love for us to start focusing a bit more and make sure that we raise the aspiration level and put the right amount of focus on getting to that level. Thank you very much.
Thank you.